Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Okay, so the OCG ban list is out and I expect that the TCG list will probably be coming out any day now. But anyways, this is the most interesting thing to talk about in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, so let's go ahead and talk about it. As you guys are looking at a scan from the V-Jump, and you know that it's legit because once again it includes Japanese cosplayers, so that right there makes it official basically. If you got cosplayers, it makes it official. Now, there's a buddy of mine named Lord Tyrannus who I talk to a lot on DN, and he only plays OCG, so a lot of the times when he's talking about decks and stuff, like I'll go back to one of his messages and I'm like, what is he talking about? Cold Wave and Heavy Storm? I'm like, oh yeah, he plays OCG. So he was telling me a couple of days ago that, you know, there were a lot of rumored lists coming out and all types of crazy stuff that could happen. Because remember, in the OCG, they're a lot more liberal than we are in the TCG. They've got Trishula and, you know, all types of cards that we don't have. So the OCG is kind of more like how I would run the game, but you know, that is neither here nor there. All right, so forbidden cards, they don't have any. That doesn't really surprise me. I mean, in the OCG, I think they try and limit stuff first before just outright banning it, so that's not really a shocker. Now, for limited cards, they have El-Shaddoll Winda, El-Shaddoll Construct, Summoner Monk, Dark Arm Dragon, Star Seraph Sovereign. I'm not even sure what that card is, so I can't really comment that much on it. Soul Charge, and Sinister Shadow Games. Okay, so I flat out predicted one of these. I mean, granted, it's not for the TCG, but I predicted that Sinister Shadow Games would go to one just because it's like I said, it's very similar to Gear, where if you open going first with the right setup, I feel like you just win. Like if you open with Shadow Games plus Falco, I mean, how does your opponent stop that? Like you flip Falco over, you know, well, you get the draw card that, so it already pays for itself when you don't Beast. Then you get Beast to the field, so you go +1, and then when Beast gets flipped during your next turn, it's like you just draw a freaking million cards, and then you're probably going to trigger a dragon or something from your hand, and it's damn near impossible to stop. I mean, how do you stop somebody from setting a monster? You can't. You know, you try and cross it out, they're just like, they chain Shadow Games, and then you just get screwed. So, I mean, maybe Shadow Games, in my opinion, should have been a continuous trap that destroyed itself during the end phase, because at least that way it would have been like Spear, where you could MST it or something like that. I don't know. Now, I don't think anybody saw Winda and Construct both getting hit. I think that everybody needs to get this mindset of, because I see all the Yu-Gi-Tubers saying it. Oh, well, they're not going to hit Shaddolls because they're too new. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm so sick of people saying that. Do you not remember that Dark Strike Fighter got banned 6 weeks after it was released? Do you not remember that Gale was at 3 and then it got hit the 1 after one format? Like, Konami doesn't care that they're giving new support to archetypes. If a card is broken, if they feel like it's unbalanced, if they feel like it's completely destroying the game or it's completely dominating the game to where they can't sell other archetypes, nobody ever seems to think about that, they'll hit stuff, you know? How are they going to sell Yang Zing if Shaddolls are all that people will play? You know what I mean? Like, you have to balance out the game some way. And even if stuff are new, even if, you know, they are what you're trying to sell, there's nothing stopping you from just releasing further support. I mean, yes, they hit Construct and Winda, but and new challengers, they're getting, what, 2 more fusions? They're getting a Fire one and an Earth one. So, I mean, those guys should be able to pick up the slack. I honestly don't think that, like, right now in the TCG, if Winda and Construct both got hit, it wouldn't be that big of a hit to the deck. Not after New Challengers comes out anyway. Like, I would think that the Construct would be a bigger hit than Winda. Like, you shouldn't really need more than one Winda to win anyway. All right, so Monk got hit. Monk's at 2 in the TCG, so I kind of get that. Like, I don't know if that's for Infernity because of what they did at Worlds and they had just been like ravaging and whatnot, or what. Dark Arm Dragon went back to 1. It was a mistake putting Dark Arm at 2, and I think they realized it because people could throw Eclipse Wyvern in the decks and then they could just search out Dark Arm, and Shaddolls dropped Dark Arm Dragon so damn easy. I mean, I used to see it in that deck and I'm like, what? And also in the OCG, they play Dark Arm and Evil Swarm too, so they drop it in that. Star Seraph Sovereign, I don't know what that card does, so I'm really not going to comment on it. Soul Charge to 1, again, we all saw that coming or banned. I think that this is going to happen in the TCG as well. Don't get on this whole high horse of it's too new, it just came out in Dragon's Lair. They don't care. Like, the card is absolutely defining the game. it's probably going to get limited or banned. I completely agree with that. I am a little surprised that they didn't go after Vanity's Emptiness, because from what I've seen in the OCG, Vanity's Emptiness it's being played pretty much as in the TCG. But again, they have Heavy Storm, so I don't know if it's as big of an issue there. We don't have Heavy Storm, so I mean that could go into that could be a deciding factor. Semi-limited Blackwing, Gale the Whirlwind. I was actually thinking about this last night. I was kind of like, I kind of feel like Mole, Ryo, and Gale are all kind of like, they should all go to 2 and then maybe all back to 3. You know what I mean? Like Gale definitely, because it's like, what is Gale really that useful in? I mean, I might run it in like anti-meta, and if you look at it on its face value, yeah, it can take down big ass things. Like you can take down a Window, or you can take down a Stardust back in the day, Thunder King Ryo, big powerful monsters that are supposed to be standalone, you know, like standalone lockdown cards, or cards that are really good when they have like maybe 1 card of protection, but Gale just says, nope, I'm gonna make you like 1,000 attack and run your little ass over. You know, anything less than 2,600 basically. And I don't know, I just feel like Gale isn't nearly the card that it used to be, so I completely understand that. And then no longer limited, they have Abyss Spear, Wind Up Shark, and Needlebug's Nest. Needlebug's Nest in itself just seemed like a random hit in the OCG. I guess that, I mean, that's completely because of Lightsworn, I guess. I'm not even sure where that's coming from, if that was at 2 or 1. I couldn't imagine it was at 1. That just would have been crazy, but I don't think there was ever a reason for this card to ever get hit. I mean, all it does is mill 5. I understand in Lightsworn, you know, you can mill some pretty crazy things. Dragon Rulers, Necro Gardener, Rainbow Karibo, Eclipse Wyverns, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather hit Eclipse Wyvern. I'd rather limit that first before going after Needlebug. Abyss Spear, I think that is more not based on the card itself, based on the fact that Mermail aren't doing anything in the OCG, because they just aren't, you know what I mean? Like Evil Swarm, it gets played a lot there to try and counter Shaddolls, so that doesn't favor too well for Mermail. Abyss Spear, don't get it twisted. That's a card that's good enough to be limited, but you know, I could see leaving it at 3 just because Mermail aren't doing anything. Same thing with Wind Up Shark. The card technically is good enough to be limited. It kind of feels like between the OCG and the TCG, they always keep flip-flopping on what should be limited, Shark or Magician. I ultimately think soon enough they'll end up both at 3, and Wind-Ups may start making some noise, but it's one of those decks where you can't keep penalizing a deck when it hasn't been proven to be meta relevant. Like if a deck if it's not even scratching the surface of regional top 8s, then what's the point of keeping the deck hit? It just doesn't make any sense. So I think that this list it's interesting. I mean, it's cool to see that they went after Shaddolls because they were dominating so hard, and that they didn't, you know, the fact that it is a deck that they're still trying to push and sell didn't deter them, because I don't really think that that's something that Konami is known for. I mean, yeah, there have been formats where, remember the format where they killed Plant Synchro and they ignored Wind-Ups and Insectors, but you have to remember Insectors and Wind-Ups had just came out like within that month. I mean, they weren't going to hit shit that came out a month. That it just came out, you know, like a month ago. But I don't know. I think that Shaddolls will still be highly playable in the OCG because, again, they're getting 2 more fusions, and somebody said something about them getting a rainbow. So that means that they would get basically a water and a wind. So they still got 2 more shots at getting really good cards. I think that Shaddolls would still be playable, but I mean, that is a significant hit. Again, I didn't think anything from S-Knights was going to get hit. Not even Altier, just because, you know, he's basically Wolfbark. So you hit Altier, you just kill the entire deck. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think that this is going to translate to the TCG. I would be a little nervous if I had Shaddolls in the TCG, just because Konami of America for the TCG might look at this list and they might basically follow suit. Thank you guys for watching as always.